As you can see this week, we are taking a look at rational numbers, irrational numbers, but before we get into those specifically, I wanted to kind of talk about classifying things and grouping things. We're also going to be looking at how to classify numbers, what categories to put them in, how to group them together, and why they go into those categories, what characteristics make up those categories. So I kind of want you to think about that, some of those questions. If I gave you some numbers, how would you categorize them? How would you group them together? What things would make you put them into that group? And to kind of show you an example of that, I wanted to just kind of go over some things that you might think about when you're categorizing something else. So we're going to take a look at that now. So let's take a look at this example here. I have a bunch of different magnets, and I want to talk about just some ideas that you might be thinking about when you actually go to categorize your own numbers. Let's take a look at how we categorize these magnets. Now, it might be obvious to someone to categorize them one way or another. There's not necessarily a right way as long as you set up your characteristics clearly. So you want to always be thinking about how you do this with the numbers in your list or numbers in general. So if I look at this, I might automatically go, colors. Let's categorize them by color. So I would group maybe all the exact colors together. So maybe put the dark blue together here, and maybe this tan color here. I don't have any other pink ones or light blue, but I do have these two teal ones and that orange one. So I might group them like that, and I would say I group these by color, and here are my different colors. So I have lots of categories when I group them by exact color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different categories. What if I wanted to make smaller groups or kind of chunk them a little bit more? I might just say, well, let's put the blues together. I would put those together, even blues and greens. I might put these together there, and maybe reds and oranges. So kind of group them by, the way they fall into the rainbow spectrum of colors. So I would have only 3 groups now. I'd have my greens and blues, this tan yellowy color, and then the red and orange color. But if you also look, maybe you're thinking about, well, what about how they appear, or what they actually just look like, or what they're made up of. Well, if you look at actually the tops, you can see there's patterns on top of there. So I have a few different patterns, and I might pattern them, or I might group them by the exact pattern. So I have some striped ones, so I'm going to group these together. Like I said, they're magnets. So I have all my stripes together, and I might put them by these ones have circles on them. So stripes, circles, and these ones are more abstract, maybe more of like a geometric pattern. This one's pretty light, but you can see it's just kind of like a geometric design. So I might put these 3 together. So as you can see, I came up with a few different ways of grouping them, but I always had at least 3 groups. That's a good kind of starting point, and I want you to think about that when you're doing your own grouping for the numbers that you have in your list below. So decide on how you'd create your groups. I want you to have at least 3 groups. Come up with the characteristics, maybe how they look, what they're made up of, what types of numbers they are. Think about all those things, and then you're going to explain how you did that. Maybe you came up with the way they looked like, and you'd explain what the groups are made up of. I have 3 groups. This group has all of this type of number, and you'd go on. And then I also want you to tell me where the numbers in the list, where they would go in each of the groups that you made up. If you have any questions, make sure you come and contact me, ask me questions office hours, or message me as well.